What's going on, everybody? It is TripleCrown24 back today with a new card show recap video. Today's recap is coming from Fishers, Indiana. This is my first time doing this show. It's the J&J monthly show up at the American Legion there in Fishers. A show that has been around a very long time. One that I have always intended on doing, but just never really had the opportunity or my weekends lined up to get out there. This time it did. I wasn't set up, I was just walking around, and it was definitely a lot different environment than what I have been used to in recent times, and there were a lot of big fish there. Let me put it that way. There was a lot of money in the room, both in terms of those walking around looking to spend or trade their cards, and also what was being put out there on the show floor. A lot of really nice cards. If you follow me on Twitter, I've showed you one of the showcases out there. Just absolutely insane cards in there. So yeah, go check that out if you're interested. But I did pick up 12 cards. They were all slabs, nothing out of any of the value boxes today. I looked through a few of them. I just couldn't really find anything that I wanted to go for. And that kind of is unfortunate because I do like going to the shows to get those cheaper cards. I don't really do too much of that kind of buying online. It's really shows or buying out collections where I'm going to get a lot of that cheap stuff. So it is what it is. I'm happy that I came away with what I did. 3 of the cards have actually already moved, so you won't see those here, but I'll briefly mention them. Let's get into it. First up is this Pokemon card. In fact, I have 2 Pokemon cards. So this was a stack of 3 cards that I bought from a dealer. I've done many deals with him. One of the nicest guys that I've met doing this, and he had actually just bought these from someone else. He put a few away in from the stack that he wanted to keep for himself, and I asked him, "Hey, can I, are you going to move any of these? I'm interested if you are." And he cut me a sweetheart deal on them. He was able to make what he needed to make on them, and I mean, he had them for all of 5 minutes, so it's a pretty good turnaround on his time, and then also left me enough room to do what I wanted with them. So I sold one of the cards already in my eBay store. I still have these 2, and ideally I'm going to be able to sell this Marnie for enough to get back to even and possibly hold on to this Rayquaza for myself. I'm trying to do better with holding on to certain cards for my own, I guess, what I'm going to call a Frankenstein collection, but hasn't always worked out that way. I do have to kind of manage the balance of buying and selling as a dealer. Of course, can't keep everything, but I also want to try to break my habit of moving everything as well, because I think that a happy medium is going to be what's best for me in multiple ways. Next up, this is the lone football pickup of the day. Peyton Manning Genesis from the first year of Mosaic. This is the second of 2 Genesis cards that I ended up picking up at the show. And you can never go wrong with the Genesis. I've had really good luck moving these, regardless of the player, regardless of the condition. And this one, really no exception. I'm a big Peyton Manning fan. And surprisingly, his stuff, from what I can tell, doesn't move all that well in Indianapolis. There's a lot of interest in players who aren't local. There always seems to be a ton of Pacers and Colts stuff there, but from what I can tell, a lot of people are not asking for it. I always find that kind of unusual, because it's probably the market where I see the least amount of attention going towards the hometown teams. It's kind of bizarre. But regardless, I made this deal. I gave up a card that I was really into for nothing, and I paid cash. If you go look this card up, you'll see that I definitely paid more than what it was worth. Again, this is something that will probably end up being a trade chip. It's one that I don't mind holding on to if I don't get my number. I wasn't thrilled with how the deal went down, but I made it anyways. It's not a good habit to get into. It is what it is. If I had a chance to do it over, I probably wouldn't have picked this card up, but I haven't. I'm going to enjoy it and make the most out of it. All right, next up is a baseball stack. In fact, the rest of these are all baseball, so have these 2010 Topps Chrome Wrapper Redemptions. This gentleman submitted a ton of these for a set that he was working on and decided to sell his duplicates. I went through and picked out the Hall of Famers just because I thought they were kind of unique. So here you got a Babe Ruth in a 10, Jackie in a 9, and Ty Cobb in a 9. I also picked up the Lou Gehrig. That one is sold, so we'll be seeing that on a fellow YouTuber's video here in the near future. If you're Lou Gehrig collectors out there, or Lou Gehrig fans, I guess you can probably figure out who it is. But I saw these and they're different. And I like to find different things because a lot of times, I don't know if you guys feel this way if you go to shows, but a lot of the cases will kind of blur together for me, where I'll see something and then I'll forget what was in that case 5 minutes later just because it feels like it's all the same stuff over and over. And it's not. I mean, there's different cards out there, but stuff like this is just, it's different. I don't see too many of these out there. There's really not that many of these graded out there, relatively speaking. And these were duplicates for the dealer. I was able to get him some new inventory, kind of diversify what he had a little bit, diversify what I had a little bit. And you can see on screen what exactly I gave up. So it was a deal I was pretty happy with. I do like this Babe Ruth a lot. To get a 10 on this set is just, it's tough. If you've ever seen a box break of 2010 Topps Chrome, it's slim pickings to get good quality control on a lot of those cards. They're rough. Here's a guy I was really interested in picking up cards for. Shohei Ohtani. This is a combos card from 2021, I should say, update. Independence Day, first number to 76. Just been trying to pick up some Ohtani stuff lately. I feel like it's the cheapest that it's been in quite some time, and I mean, really hasn't done anything wrong. I guess the prospect of him changing teams maybe will result in a dip in his market. I don't know. But, I mean, this guy, he is the real deal. And regardless of where he plays beyond this season, he is, I would say, you could make a very strong argument that he is the face of baseball over Mike Trout right now. I will go that far to say that. So, that one was less than the cost of what it would have been for me to send it in and grade it myself. So, I figured why not. Little vintage here. Wasn't too much vintage at the show. Some things here and there, but a lot of it was like really high grade stuff that I mean, out of my range. But here's a nice Hammer and Hank 72 Topps. Another one of those that for the price I got it for, probably less than what I would have had to pay to buy the card raw, send it in myself, and then get it back and all the costs that go into that. So I ended up just picking it up. One of those that I don't mind holding on to if I don't get my number for it. And this was actually bundled together with a card that is pretty random compared to this one. It was a Clay Thompson Genesis. I had mentioned I had 2 Genesis at this show. The reason that I'm not showing that one is because I later traded it in a deal to get this card. There was another Ohtani card that I picked up with this one, but that was sold to another fellow friend here on YouTube. I'm sure you will see it in their recap video or mail video at some point down the line here, but I'll let him show off that card when the time comes. This is the one I ended up with though. It's a Julio Rodriguez 2022 Topps Heritage Refractor. Based on the cards that I traded to get this one here, I was pretty pleased overall. If I was paying cash, it's where I would want to be, and I would rather have the 2 cards that I got, knowing that I immediately had a buyer for one of them in the Ohtani card than what I had before. And the guys were able to increase the value of what they had. This is a group of gentlemen I've done several deals with before. They're always fair with me, and you know, I try to give them a little bit more value on their side since usually they're the ones who are set up, but it worked out for both sides, which is the best kind of trade in my opinion, is one where both sides feel like they were able to come out ahead. I don't go out there intentionally trying to screw people over or get the better end of the deal. I like to make deals that are relationship builders or relationship continuers. I don't like to burn bridges out there by making unfair deals. Naturally, some deals are going to end up being unfair. Maybe someone gets hurt or something happens down the line where a card plummets in value. Those are the types of things you can't control, but as far as like in the moment deals, I try to keep it as even keel as possible, while still also trying to take care of business for myself. So this Julio silver refractor here, these are beautiful. I gotta say, Topps did a good job with this one. I get on them for all the new parallels that they add, but yeah, they did a good job with this one here. So nice little Julio from Heritage there. And those were the pickups. I'll tell you a little bit about this show. I'm not going to do the something I like, something I didn't like. I just want to kind of give a general idea about the show. Really, there was a lot of high dollar cards there. This show lived up to its reputation of there being some money in the room. I definitely felt that there were a lot of big dollar cards that were also in people's cases that they were carrying around. This was one of the heaviest like flipper culture shows I think I've been to. I heard the word comps so many times today, or on Saturday, I should say, since it's a few days later now. I heard it so many times. And really the times where I hear it the most is actually at the Indianapolis shows. I don't know what it is, but it seems like always at these shows, people are very particular about what things have sold for in the past, which is, I guess, a good and bad thing. There are ways to use that to your advantage. That's kind of some of my tricks that I'll use to know what I want to go after. It also can break down a lot of deals and prevent a lot of deals from happening. So is it a net positive or a net negative? I'm not really sure I can comment on that. All I know is that when that is the situation, when people get really focused in on their comps, that's what I try to focus on. What I will say though is there was a lot of people there who they wanted to ask to see my stuff that I had with me, or I was trying to work out a trade a couple of times, and a lot of it was just kind of overvaluing their own cards while undervaluing mine. And what I mean by that is that they want to take the last sale of my card that was in April of 2022 and use that as, okay, well, this is what the price is. But if I tried to do that to their card, they would be like, well, no, things have changed since then, and this card will go up and all that. So it's one of those things where they're having their cake and eating it too. That to me, I mean, it's one way or the other for me. You know, are we going to go strictly based off these numbers? Because if we are, then hey, I'll play ball like that. If you want to say, well, I don't know if this number accurately reflects that, hey, I agree with you because it probably doesn't. But at the same time, you can't then change your logic going back the other way around. It's going to result in no deals getting done. And hey, it's their cards. They can do whatever they want with it. But I just felt like that was a barrier to getting a lot of the deals done today. A lot of also just bad etiquette. And I don't like to put anyone on blast when I do these videos, but I'm just going to put it out there and say it. There were a lot of kids that were going around with their boxes and stuff, a lot of them just unsupervised. And you'll be talking to a dealer or trying to work something out, and they'll just put their cards right on top of the card that you're trying to look at, or just interrupt you mid-conversation trying to get the dealer's attention. And it's just rude. You wouldn't really do that in any other setting. To me, it's just bad etiquette. If you're trying to get a dealer's attention, you know, there are ways to do it without completely interrupting someone else. I just feel like there could be some etiquette lessons out there taught. So yeah, that was just something that kind of rubbed me a little bit the wrong way. I figured I would put it out there again. I don't like to say bad things about these shows because I like to share the positive experience, but naturally there are some things that go down where it kind of makes me feel like that's just I don't know about that one. So overall, you know, it was definitely different from what I've been doing. I've been moving a lot of cheap stuff lately, a lot of stuff in that $50 to $100 range or a little bit under that. And there just wasn't a lot of that there. And you can kind of see it in what I ended up picking up here. Some higher value cards, really for the most part, cards that went above that threshold or a little bit above. But I did my best to kind of keep it within that realm, and overall made it a successful show. Definitely one that I'll be back to, but I think I will definitely approach it differently next time. Try to bring some higher end cards and bring a little bit more cash and be prepared to spend that cash, just because I feel like that's going to be my best way to navigate this show upon the return. But it was very well run. Like I said, Jeff, he's the promoter of it. J&J crew, they always do a fantastic job, and can't wait for the Midwest Monster this summer, and also returning to their Louisville show, and then of course this Fisher show as well. So that was it for today's video. I appreciate you all checking it out. I will see you tomorrow with the COMC recap and then a new podcast episode coming out on Thursday. Till then, take care, stay safe, be kind.